Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. If you are new, my name is Dave B. I sell Chevys. I've been selling Chevys for 15 years here in northern New Jersey. Currently we are still under lockdown and I'm in my basement slash studio making daily YouTube content to keep myself occupied. Today we're going to talk about leasing. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight about how a lease is structured. I have a real world example that we're going to put up on the whiteboard, and hopefully I answer a bunch of questions that you may have in this video. If you have questions after the video, just throw them in the comments. I'll answer all of them to the best of my ability. If you got any value out of this video once it's over, please hit that subscribe button. It would help me grow my channel and I would greatly appreciate that. Let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is the lease ads. We see them everywhere. You see them in the newspaper, not so much anymore. You see them online, you see them on TV. They come from dealerships, they come from manufacturers. And there's one important thing that they all have, and it's fine print. So I'm on Chevy's website right now and I'm looking at a 2020 Equinox sign and drive lease. And the first thing it says is ultra low mileage lease example. So what that means is you are taking the least amount of miles allowed for that lease, which with Chevrolet, with GM Financial, is 10,000 miles per year. So mileage is one of the things that's going to drive the price of your lease. And here's why. Let's say you take two vehicles, right? Customer A drives 10,000 miles a year. Customer B drives 15,000 miles a year. Well, after 3 years, customer A's car is going to have 30,000 miles on it. Customer B's car is going to have 45,000 miles on it. So the bank has to anticipate and in a sense, guess what those vehicles will be worth in 3 years when they get them back and have to sell them at auction. Obviously, the one at 30,000 miles is going to sell for higher than the one at 45,000 miles, which means the one at 30,000 miles is going to have a lower payment because the bank's going to charge more to the person that's going to put more mileage on that car. The second thing it says is for current qualified leasees. So that actually tells you two different things in that one little sentence with those couple words. For current qualified leasees. Current leasees means you have a lease currently. I'll explain that in a second. Qualified leasee means you have to be approved based on your credit. So let's go back for current leasees. Right now we have rebates. There's a $1,000 incentive if you have a current GM lease in the household, in the family. Sometimes they have rebates if you have a non-GM lease. They call it a conquest program or a competitive lease rebate. These are rebates that you would have to qualify for to get the price that you see in that ad. If you don't qualify for that rebate, your payment is going up. The second thing is the qualified leasee. These leases have to be approved just like any other loan through a bank. The bank has tiers that they're going to approve you on. They might have 4 to 5 different tiers. So if you're an 800 plus credit score, you're going to get top tier and you're going to be able to qualify for what this ad states in its fine print, as long as you have the rebates and you take the mileage and everything else. If you have less than perfect credit, let's say you're a 600 score or a 650 score, you might still qualify for a lease. However, the bank's going to look at you as a higher risk, and because of that, they're going to charge you more. Your payment's going up. In this particular ad, based on today's date that I posted this video, it's $297 per month, 0 first month's payment, 0 down payment, and 0 security deposit. So right now, because of what's going on, GM is waiving first payments. So if you do a 39-month lease, you're really only paying 38 payments, even though you can drive it for 39. 0 down payment, very important. Down payment is what's called cap cost reduction. It's money that you're gonna put down to help lower your payment. What's very deceiving about that is a lot of people advertise 0 down payment, and we all think as the public that, you know what, that's no money down. I don't have to come out of pocket. But the next line says tax, title, license, and dealer fees are extra. So you're still paying your tax, your dealership fees, your motor vehicle, whatever that may be. Now, why do they advertise that way? Well, Chevy has no idea who's looking at this ad. So it could be somebody from Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, California, Rhode Island. It doesn't matter, and every state has different fees, different tax structures, taxes applied differently. So, you have to really leave that out of the equation. So if you did like a true 0 money down lease, you're still paying your tax and fees up front. Now, I already worked up an example on a 2020 Equinox. Tax and fees on this particular one that I worked up, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the video, is $2,345.53. That's just state fees, motor vehicle, taxes, the bank fee that the bank charges, our $299 documentation fee that the dealership charges, and you add all that up. Basically, normally you would also have first payment in that equation, but it's currently waived, so you don't. So to get to these payments, you're coming up with about $2,300 out of pocket, or you roll it into the payment and your payment goes up. Now, the last thing they do in these ads is they advertise the lowest priced vehicle. So when you take a 2020 Equinox, they're not advertising the $40,000 Equinox. They're advertising the $26,000, $27,000 Equinox, the base model. So if you want to go in and you say, well, I want leather and I want a sunroof and I want nav, your payment's going up. I know exactly what you're thinking right now. Here it is, we got this car salesman. Sounds like every other car salesman out there, he's just telling us how much our payment's gonna go up. But what I'm trying to do is just show you that there's so many different variables that come into play when you're getting a lease quote. That's why things can be so different between what you see online, the TV, what dealer A says versus what dealer B says. Find a salesman that's actually asking you all these questions and interrogating you in this manner, because it's going to be more exact as far as what a payment could be. If somebody comes into me and says, what's the best lease you can do on a Tahoe? The easiest answer to that question is probably about $499 a month. Now that's what you would see on Chevy.com on the base model with all the things we just talked about. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the vehicle that you want. So when a salesman's trying to get you to look at vehicles and explain equipment that you want and what's required, they're not necessarily doing that to try to rip you off. They're doing it to try to quote you the proper vehicle with the proper payment. Otherwise, they're just going to lie to you and tell you it's $499 a month or it's the cheapest possible way. You're going to go shopping around. You'll probably get higher numbers somewhere else, which will then cause you to come back to that dealership, and then they're going to go through the same process all over again. So it'll just save you time. Just make sure salesperson's asking you these questions. And pick the vehicle you like. Now, we have a 2020 Equinox all-wheel drive 1LT with the confidence and convenience package. I'm going to put it up on the whiteboard. We have our 2020 Equinox LT all-wheel drive with confidence and convenience here on the whiteboard. MSRP of this vehicle is $32,340. Now, in the lease ad we talked about earlier, one of the first things was it was an ultra low mileage lease, which is 10,000 miles per year. But as we started talking, you told me you need 12,000 miles per year. So we're gonna have to account for that, and the payment's gonna go up a little bit. The second thing it says is current lessees. And you explained to me that you do have a current General Motors vehicle in your household, which is great. You're gonna qualify for the rebate. Right now it's $1,000. And because of that, your payment's not gonna go up. The third thing is qualified lessees, which is all about credit. I asked you how you rate your credit. You said credit's perfect. I'll have no problem whatsoever. So that's a great thing. You should qualify for top tier once we send it to the bank. And we're going to assume that you're going to qualify for top tier. Because of that, your payment won't go up. We also know based on the ad that this is a 39-month lease. However, one payment is waived, your first payment. So really, even though you have it for 39 months, you're only paying 38 payments. We also know that this is no money down and there's no security deposit. All you have to do is pay your taxes and fees up front at time of delivery based on this lease ad. So let me get that up on the board here and then I'll go through each one. We got everything up on the board here. In this calculation, sales tax in the state of New Jersey would be $1,043.03. Your motor vehicle license plates and registration would be $301. New Jersey's tire fee, $7.50. GM Financial's bank fee is $695. And our dealer documentation fee is $299. So when you add up all the tax and fees, you'd be at $2,345.53. That would be what you would have to come up with in a zero down lease to have a payment of $337 per month for 39 months. Now remembering, you're only paying 38 payments because currently they're waiving that first payment that you would normally pay within these taxes and fees. Now bear in mind, I calculated this at MSRP. This is with no dealer discount whatsoever. And we all know nobody pays MSRP for a vehicle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do GM's Supplier Program that you can get from being a first responder, fire, EMS, currently healthcare workers, active military, teachers, educators. There's so many different ways you can get what's called the GM Supplier number or one of these discount authorization codes. It's the same number I used in my last video with the 0% for 84 months. And that would give us a sale price of $31,117.35. Now, because we're selling it at a lower price, the tax structure is going to change a little bit as well. So your fees are actually going to be a little bit less. They're going to be $2,263.14. And if you were to pay those taxes and fees up front, it would drop our payment from $337 down to $305 per month. Again, all things in the lease structure being the same, we're just applying a lower price to the calculation. So as you can see here, a discount of about $1,223 saved us about $32 a month in the payment. And you can kind of figure that out yourself. So if we subtract $32,340 minus $31,117, we get $1,223. Divided by 39 months, we get $31. So it gives you kind of a rough estimate. It might not be exact in every calculation because it depends on the interest rate and stuff like that. But it'll give you sort of a standard rule of thumb of how much your payment would change. So I'll give you another example. Let's say you don't have a GM lease in the house. Well, that means you don't qualify for the $1,000 rebate. If we take that $1,000, we divide it by $39 a month, your payments would go up about $25 a month. Another thing you can do, again, rough estimate. Generally, my customers say, well, I don't want to pay anything up front. Just roll the tax and fees, everything into the payment. So we can take $22.63, do the same thing, divide it by 39 months. That's about $58 a month more. So we take 305 plus 58, and you could assume you're going to be somewhere in the 360s. Now, again, it's not an exact science because as you put more money into the lease structure, it changes tax, it changes interest, and it changes the structure of the lease. As you do that, you might be off by $1 or $2, $3, $4, whatever it may be. But it's sort of a good rule of thumb of where you can estimate your lease payment to be right there while you're at the desk with a salesperson. So I'll give you another example. Let's say you're at $305 a month and you want to be at $209. Well, that's $6 less per month. So take 6 times it by 39 months. The dealership would have to take off another $230 to $235 off the price of the car to get you to that $299. And again, it's not an exact science, but it's a pretty good estimate. I hope this video provided a little bit of insight onto a lease. My goal was to just kind of show you all the parameters that come into consideration when leasing a vehicle and just some examples of how it can affect the payment and stuff like that. Two things we really didn't talk about all that much were the money factor or the rate, because on a lease there is a rate that you would pay. Generally they're between 1% and 2%. I'm looking at these right now, they're at 1.06. That could also be calculated into a money factor. A money factor, you take the rate divided by 2,400 and you're gonna get like 0.00 something, so it's calculated both ways. And the residual value. Residual values are what drives how much the lease is gonna be. Generally, you want a higher residual value, that's gonna give you a lower payment. A lower residual value is gonna give you a higher payment. Now, the reason the bank would have a higher residual value is they're confident in that vehicle when it comes back 3 years down the road, whatever it may be. Here's an example. Right now, I'm looking at a 55% residual on a 39-month lease on an Equinox. I'm looking at a 41% residual on a 39-month lease on an Impala. Now, the Impala is a discontinued car. Who knows what it'll be worth in 3 years. It's something that is a higher risk to the bank, so they're gonna lower the residual value and they're basically charging you more for the car. So here's the thing, if it's a 50% residual, you're paying 50% up front. If it's a 60% residual, you're paying 40% up front. Now, at work, the computer calculates all this stuff. I'm in the business 15 years. If you gave me everything I needed, I probably could calculate a lease on paper, but generally, listen, the computer does the work. We put all the parameters in, all the questions we talked about earlier, and then it just gives us the best payment. We also deal with 3 different banks, so GM Financial, Ally, or US Bank. So maybe on an Impala, GM Financial is not that great a deal, but maybe on US Bank it's better. So we can see which way gives the best payment for the current parameters that we plug into that computer. Again, I hope you got some value out of this. Put your questions down below because I'm at the end of filming this right now, and now I go from filming to editing, and in my mind I'm like going back to everything I said and did I make any sense throughout this whole video, and I really don't know. So I'm gonna use the comments as the guide, and if I have to do a follow-up video or something like that, I surely will. Again, I am Dave B. I sell Chevys. We're quarantined. It's day 22. Today's day 22. Yesterday was day 21. Happy Easter to everybody who celebrated. I didn't make any video yesterday. I kind of hung out at home. We did a really cool Zoom call with my whole family, which was awesome. So we had 4 screens going and got to kind of see everybody on Easter Sunday. But today's day 22. I'm still quarantined. I don't know when I'm going back to work. If you guys have any ideas for videos, something you want to see, drop that down below as well. And I will see you tomorrow on day 23.